Hi, my name is Ann Taylor Lashbrook-Wright. So next week, I am planning with my friends Hondo and Jake from How to Become the True Media we are taking Mark Passio's How to Become the True Media course, and we are all taking it again because it's that wonderful. But yeah, so I'm preparing for our second podcast together. Jake and Hondo and myself. And I just kind of couldn't wait. So I want to share these slides. I'm super fired up. I just recorded a little preview of the podcast that we recorded this week about solipsism. But yeah, so I just want to say that I hope it's okay that I use this song, even though I have a little bit of a different interpretation. But I share it with much respect, and my hope is that we can look at religion a little differently. So let's take a breath and listen to, let's listen to Michael Fronte and Spearhead say it a little bit better than I could. Maybe you've heard this song. Maybe you think it's New Age propaganda. Maybe it's been used that way, but I don't know. Maybe you've never heard it, just like maybe you never heard Uncle Sam Goddamn. I'm sorry. Maybe you've seen this image. Maybe it's propaganda. But I think it shows who the problem is.
We could be the healing when you're feeling all alone. We can be the reason to find the strength to carry on. In a world that's so divided, we shall overcome. We can be the healing. We can be the flower in the gun. We can be the healing. We can be the flower in the gun.
It's gonna take guns.
What could I say to my son or to my daughter if they came and asked me about
Can't let 'em
these
take
days?
them.
What kind of reason could I
Just
give
like
for
we
all
can't
the
let 'em
hate
take the
that's
children.
standing in the
It's
way?
up to us. Nobody's
Wish I
coming.
could tell them that nobody's gonna judge them, and every stranger on the block is gonna love
Just
them.
because Christ was the
bully
way
in the
for
world
me
could ever hurt them, but I
doesn't
can't say
mean
that
that
today.
it's the only way.
No
We've
one
got to
could
come
ever
together
take
because the
your
children
pride
need
from
us.
you. Speak your truth and let your spirit fly, 'cause we could be the healing when you're feeling all alone. We could be the reason.
It is up to us.
To find
That's why we're
strength to
here.
carry on. In a world that's so divided,
And not to let them take our guns,
we could be the healing.
not to let them be the only ones with the guns.
Flower in the gun. We could be the healing. We could be the flower in the gun.
Maybe you call these pedos. It's another name for
What could
them.
I say to every woman who was ever told by a man, don't try to reach too high? What could I say to every girl who was betrayed and told to keep the pain locked inside? Wish I could say nobody's ever gonna judge me. Every stranger on
Did
the
you
block
miss
is
the
gonna love me.
message?
No bully in the world is gonna hurt me, but
Do you
I
think it
can't
was
say
about the
that
color of your
today.
skin?
No, no, no one could ever take my
If you did,
God from me.
if you thought that you should give up your right to stand up, you were wrong.
'Cause we could be the healing when you're feeling all alone. We could be the reason to find the strength to carry on. In the world so divided, we shall overcome. We can be the
Hashtag,
healing.
yep,
We can be the flower in the gun. We can be the
called
healing.
self-defense.
We can be the flower in the gun. It's like dropping pebbles into the ocean and seeing them spread ripples around the world.
That's what I was
And
taught. I
you
was
say,
taught by Carl
"Whoa,
Jung,
whoa,
or his contemporaries, his students.
yeah,
We're dropping
whoa, whoa,
our
yeah,
essence into that bit of unconsciousness such that it bubbles over. Not that we're here to stand out, we are here to stand up.
'Cause we
not here to dismiss what this artist has said or what they choose to show in their music video. I think we're all on the same page. It really matters who's behind the gun, and it matters what we do, not what we post about. It's what we actually do, the actions that we take. Okay? And that's why I'm here. I am doing my best with what I have to inspire you to take right action. Okay. So, like I said, we're going to talk about religion next week. And however, Jake and Hondo and myself choose to share these conversations that we're having is yet to kind of be seen because we've got to see how we're going to edit them and what we're going to do. Um, but I couldn't wait because for many years I've listened to this song and I have thought that if we think that the problem is the gun, if we don't see that the problem is what's behind that, is the authority. And I know that in their music video, they share about school shootings. And I hope that you know now, right? That it's my understanding, it's my research and other people's research, that it's the pharmaceutical drugs that are behind it. It's the people that hide in the shadows that were manipulating those young people. It's the same people that are sacrificing children. And it's not just about sexuality, okay? It's about control. And Satan is not a red man with devil horns and a tail, okay? I was taught that sin is separation from God. I don't like to use the word God anymore because I think that our Creator is much more than a God, okay? More than that. And again, if you dismiss me because you don't like my words, I'm sorry. Okay. I didn't dismiss the song and I'm not dismissing other things because maybe the truth is being hidden. Okay. But there is truth. And the truth is that we've got to come together and that there is one truth. There is objective truth. Okay. So I'd like to share some images with you from my son's composition notebook. And I hope that this is going to bring a little light and humor to you. I love you, honey. Honey is his grandmother, is my mom. Here's part of his story because he's using his sight words to create. Don and Honey. My father's name is Don Miller Lashbrook. He goes by Dusty. Don and Honey ran from the cops. They stopped and got in a car. I'm going to make a joke here, and if this offends you, I'm so sorry. But my Carter said he was going to write Lesbrew because my mom drives a Subaru. And my Aunt Nancy has joked and called them lesbians, right? We have friends that are lesbians. We have lots of actually friends that are lesbians, and my brother is gay. So that doesn't mean that we can't laugh, right? I'm sorry if you can't laugh at things like that. Honey took Carter to get a minifig. I always called these Lego men, but I guess nowadays they're called minifigs. Charlotte, that's my niece, said, "Big Deb, there's a pig." Again, Carter was trying to use these words, right? Big Deb, pig, that were his sight words. I've been really strong with him about learning phonics. And so finally I said, okay, like some words you're not going to be able to sound out. We're just going to have to, you're 9 years old. You're just going to have to memorize them. Time to move on. So, uh, yeah, so Big Deb, there's a pig. That's what little 3-year-old Charlotte supposedly says in this story. Charlotte did not say this, and she would not call it a pig. But it was a police officer. And so Carter said that he was actually referencing dogs, right? Because it's my understanding that the dark occultists call the people that do their bids their dogs, which is why they wear dog tags. So, yeah, so I want to give you a little bit of history behind us if you haven't watched Carter's Country Club or if you're not familiar with my previous work. And also, no offense, my Californian friends, but when I lived in California years ago, I was told by people that they didn't need to know the geography of the rest of the United States because California was the best. So, in case you're like that and you don't know the geography of the United States, I'd like to give you a little lesson. I live in Kentucky. I live in Bowling Green. And my family is from outside of Owensboro, and they are from an area called Philpott, Kentucky, which is in the Ohio River Valley. My father currently lives in Lexington, and my mother and sister live in what we call Louisville, which you might say is Louisville because it's named after King Louis. But yeah, just a little bit of geography if you wanted to visualize where I'm coming from. And this is a slide that I have shared many times in the past, and it's something that I definitely want to make sure and share as we talk about religion. The wisdom of all my grandmothers, excuse me, I'm sorry, slip there. The wisdom of all my grandmothers showed me what Christ consciousness truly is. I know it is a change in consciousness versus policy or politics that is needed to, quote, save us. This is not a spiritual or religious war, but a war of right versus wrong. And I'm sorry if you disagree with that. I think it's time to stop the debate. There is no time to debate religion or dogma. We must focus on our Creator's principles because there is one truth. Others may call these first principles natural law, God's law, natural rights, or divine law. There is objective morality, and we must begin to raise our young by putting first things first. Unlike most, my parents did raise me. All institutions have been corrupted. I think that's proven. We must abandon them and rally behind the truth, not the church. Okay, and if that's offends you, I'll just go ahead and quote Mark Passio yet again. Get as offended as you like. So this is my father's mother, Nana, and she played piano in that church, which I just went to their anniversary, as you can see, erected in 1885. And it's interesting because Bethabara Baptist Church doesn't say that it was founded. For my friends that are fascinated with old world buildings, as I am as well. So yeah, that's where my family comes from. Both of my parents were raised what you would call Southern Baptist, and I do not align myself with a religion because I think that they've all been corrupted, as I have shared here, even though this was my path. But my path is a little bit different. So I'd like to share it with you just a little bit more. And again, this has been shared, but like I've said before, I've removed so much of my content from Beyond Movement and from the past. So if you are new to me or new to my work, then send me an email. My email has been shared here. I'll share it again so that you can reach out to me while I am building my own website. This is me and my son Carter, and that is one of my very, very young midwives. And yeah, Carter was born in 2016. He just walked in the door and out the door. He's back playing outside. And so yeah, I've shared about my birth story, but the part that I wanted to share here, as we talk about religion, is a little bit about rock climbing, which you might not think of as a religion. But I'd like to, my plan next week is to talk because Hondo is a surfer, and I think that surfers and skateboarders and snowboarders and rock climbers sometimes are confused by the religion of scientism. So, yes, this is where Carter spent his toddlering, was at the base of, what would be called a crag. So while Justin and I would be climbing, Carter was, running around and playing. And I'm pretty sure right there he's got chalk all over his hands. And I'm pretty sure that's a big spilled bit of chalk behind him. And I've been sharing a lot of quotes in my work and a lot of quotes that may or may not be things that you're familiar with. And as I have shared before, and as Mark Passio has shared before, just because I share a quote doesn't mean that align with every single thing. But I think if we don't take in eclectic sources, we're definitely going to be missing out. So I want to share this. If you are waiting for anything in order to live and love without holding back, then you suffer. Every moment is the most important moment of your life. No future time is better than now to let down your guard and love. And so that's what I'm inviting you to do today is to down your guard, hear my voice, see the image of my little family, and see if we can talk about coming together. And I want to tell you a little bit about the world that Carter has grown up in. Like I said, he was born in 2016, and we did not. Like I said, he was out climbing, and he did not choose to see, or excuse me, I guess me, right? Justin may have made a different choice, but I did not choose to put him in front of screens. We all went together to see a movie when he was 5 years old, but that was after he had already been exposed through toys to the Paw Patrol. And I referenced the Paw Patrol before, but I know that Mark Passio and other people didn't really know what the Paw Patrol was. So it's a Nickelodeon show. And like I said, that's why Carter knows that the dark occultists call those that do his bidding their dogs. He very much, as he has listened to me, listened to Passio's work over the last couple of years, he has made those connections. And so he was like, wow, like the Paw Patrol. So I talk about that a little bit more in Carter's Country Club. But then, like I showed you in the map earlier, that we live in Bowling Green, but my sister and my mom live in Louisville. And maybe you didn't know that during Louisville, it was the whole Breonna Taylor fiasco. And I could talk about that into great detail, but this is where Carter was during COVID because we chose to leave the Red River Gorge. We chose to stay near my family and stay with people that would see us. And I could get into way more details about that, but I just wanted to give you the visual of where my son was at because we literally one night like drove right through the middle of downtown and through the protests so he could kind of see what was going on. And if you weren't in Louisville, if you just consumed things online, then maybe you didn't know about that. And I'd like to talk to you about, some other thinking, but again, kind of the obfuscated truth hidden behind religion of authority is really what I'd like to talk more about next week. And I know it's wrong, and I know that protesting is not the answer, which I've talked about in Carter's Country Club. But we did. We totally went and protested about things. And I feel that I can share this image because it was shared in social media. But that is Carter. I'm not going to share about the little girl that was next to him, but yeah, and yes, I know we waved flags and we bought stuff from Lions Not Sheep. I know. We know when you know better, you do better, and I've already shared that quote. But this was the world that he lived in at the time. He was not 4 years old. He was turning four when COVID had hit, and then this is the world that Carter currently lives in. Although this is a video that Nashville Ballet shared when Carter was in the Nutcracker in 2024. So I'm going to play that for you. And then I've given this in Carter's Country Club, right? But this is the world that he lives in. We've never seen this Netflix series, but I understand that children are going through sex education. And so I just thought this image of whatever this ridiculous Netflix series is just totally appropriate as I play this song for you. Yep, this is what Nashville Ballet posted with my son and his fellow party boys. Okay. And Carter said that he doesn't like that song. And, you know, Again, we talk about the principle of gender on Carter's Country Club, and I hope that you go and see that. And if you have exhausted all of Carter's Country Club so far, then be excited because I'm ready to add to those episodes. And I am long winded, as you can already tell. So I've shared this slide before. I'm not a Harry Potter fan, neither is Carter, but I know we probably need to read those and see what all is hidden in there at some point. I think I've read the first one, but it just didn't really resonate with me. Although I like that there's a lightning bolt and that Justin said he has a different. I'm going to let him share at some point his words of why he thinks that he should use the lightning bolt. I think that you know the real truth or the hidden truth about the lightning bolt. But well, I don't know. Maybe do, maybe don't. You should comment here. So will you stay with me until the very end because I want to share a little bit more with you here. This is one of Carter's favorite books and I have actually not read it. I have read Little Women, and I love this little slide here that I've shared in previous recordings that I've done because we really enjoy going through classic literature, and I understand that people aren't reading. My apologies. Not really. I don't really care if this offends anybody, but I had a friend the other day that thought that the Chronicles of Narnia. First, she referenced the movie, but then she referenced that it was science fiction. And that's really unfortunate when we think that classic literature is science fiction. Really, really unfortunate. But again, I think it's that religion of scientism that, all the things. So, anyway, we'll keep moving forward. This is the book that I keep referencing, and I'm going to just turn to another page, just like I did in the other video that I have done. And if you don't know where that video is, then, like I said, leave a comment here because when I talked about a little preview of our solipsism conversation, I shared this book. I've shared it before, and I also shared this is an image of Paul Check, and I just love that it says "Get educated, found consciousness, hidden truth about the educational system." Paul is wonderful. Again, we can, maybe we need to agree to disagree if Paul has different things that rub you the wrong way. Um, Again, we don't have to agree on everything to find truth there. And Paul checks for his four-part series where he interviews and a retort is so valuable. Ooh, I'm going to start right here. This is perfect. This is going to be so perfect. I turn the page to what I'm going to read, but I'm going to continue with my slides until I get to the slide that I want to read this on. As I have mentioned before, my goal with Carter's Country Club is to support arts, athletics, and a classical education. So I've shared this slide before just to define what the seven classical liberal arts are. And I'm really sorry if the word liberal confuses you or if you think of liberal arts as left leaning colleges. Again, I think that's probably by design for you to maybe have that type of reaction to what is just truly classical education. Um, so again, it's the same thing, right? That these things are kind of hidden and twisted, just like parts of religion have been as well. And like I said, I live in Bowling Green. This is a image of our square, maybe in your square where you live in your town or city, you see things like this. And one of the things that I don't know a lot about is Nikola Tesla. And so maybe I am just totally ignorant and maybe I have been totally brainwashed. But whenever I see these arches and I see these old world buildings, um, I'm just curious about the technology that is being hidden. And maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I'm dumb to equate this like it's a horseshoe magnet. I don't know, right? Because maybe that's just propaganda that I've been exposed to. But my invitation to everybody is to listen. And I'm just going to say another thing really quick before I share the last slide and read from Krivda, The God Tricks Against the Matrix. If you are somebody like many people that I've been exposed to, that when we see Asian writing or ancient writings or things like that, that we just shut down, I'm sorry. I'm sorry because there is truth hidden from us in all parts of the world, in all parts of religion. And that truth is that we do need to listen. We do get to be present. These are the things that I'm working on with my son right now, is for him to increase his ability to listen and focus. This is me and my dad. And I've shared before that I am what's called a stellium. My father and I are both born under the sun sign of Libra. Carter and I are both were born under a new moon in Libra, and very early on, I was exposed to the fact that many religions were hiding, you know, their truths, the astro theological truths. Again, I'm sorry if I'm saying that wrong, but it's my understanding that they were hiding that in their dogma. And maybe, you know, all the things. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my understanding. And I don't think there's an accident that I have 6 planets in the sign of Libra and that I would turn to. Again, like I said, I'm not making this up. I just said I was going to open the book just like I've done before. And when I opened the book, I opened to chapter 12, the goddess of justice. And I have this mandala here, mandala, which I have used in Carter's Country Club before. And so I just thought it was very fitting here with this kind of orange sacral chakra invitation to justice. And so perfect that I would just turn to this page. So let me read the very beginning of this chapter to you. Here is a quote from Peter Kingsley. The unique access offered to the heart of wisdom by letting oneself be carried into the darkest, most feminine, most unconscious depths of night is methodically, systematically excluded. Am I making you want to read this book? And that is just a quote at the beginning of the chapter 12, the goddess in quotation of justice. Justice, known to be a goddess since at least ancient Greece, is still portrayed as such in modern times in countless statues of a female figure holding the scales of justice. On the other hand, justice, who is a higher principle rather than a goddess, should need no religion. But she does seem to have one, and it is not necessarily to the liking of the principal. I got to keep reading. The USA is the land where today this goddess is most conspicuously worshipped, although her religion elsewhere also has most of the basic elements: institution, justice ministry courts, foundation myth and scripture, constitution, legal rights, legal instruments, priestly staff, judges, prosecutors, lawyers, clerks, to interpret the scriptures and medi- mediate over justice and humans, hierarchy of courts and the types of law, judition, theoretically and thematically, such as in administrative or criminal justice, ideology, to ensure the rule of law, ritual action, courthouse and prison protocols, skills, to know and apply the law. However, key elements are less self evident or operate differently. The goal of control over the population, the core modality of deceit, the tool of mind control, the extraction of human food for the goddess, the sacrificial dimension, the poverty dimensions, all these are in principle alien to justice, especially recalling that justice is truth in the old sense of pravda, and should in fact not be present ever by definition. I could keep reading, okay? But I think you get the picture. And I hope that you get the picture that we can be missing the mark, right? So it looks like Carter is walking in right now, and we get to get ready to for him to go to mandolin lessons and to go to ballet. And because like I said, classical education, classical ballet, although the mandolin is not a classical instrument, but we love country music. Even though I shared a song that could be viewed as like pop R&B just now, and I shared Uncle Sam Goddamn, which is probably defined, I don't know, I would define it as conscious hip hop. I'm not sure what Brother Ali defines his music as. I know that, he's a rapper. So, yeah, so thanks for being here today. Thanks for listening. And thanks for the reminder oh, why is this so hard to do? Yeah, to read this book. Okay. And send me an email. Like I said, reach out to me. I'd love to speak with you. And I hope you will listen in long form because I think that's the only way that we can understand. Like I said, I tried to have a conversation with somebody and she thought that C.S. Lewis was science fiction. I mean, not her fault, right? Again, these truths have been hidden. And she couldn't hear me because she thought I was being too dark. And she wasn't listening because she said something about hating Christians, which I definitely don't. Not a bit. Not a bit. And that I think maybe she said I was against God. Not true at all. I am very clear about all that ever is, all that ever will be, the one source, the one creator. But I just want to be clear with my language. And that is what Enna teaches. Okay. And it's what many of you all that are following me, that are listening to me, you can't really follow me, right? I mean, you can follow my work online, but I'm not in any form of social media right now because, like Jake and Hondo said, it's a cesspool. So I don't really want to be there. I want to interact with people in person. I want people like you that are going to stay and listen and be open to have these conversations because I do believe we've got to come together, right? Right? Be the flower and the gun, right? Because, right? Yep. Justin's words, not mine. And if you don't know what that means, I didn't either. So it's okay. When we know better, we do better. I'll see you soon.